Hi friends! Welcome back to Nelly Nummies. We are on day 12 of our 12 Days of Treatsmas, our final day. And today's treat is a cookie that's kind of a classic. It's one of my favorites, but it's probably not one you would think of when thinking of cookies. Today's cookie is a date pinwheel. Now, dates are something that most people probably don't think about when making cookies, but I promise you in this instance is really yummy. The dates we're going to turn into a really yummy gooey jam, and then that is going to get rolled up into almost a sugar cookie type cookie, and together it's wonderful. To get started with these cookies, we're going to need 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups of brown sugar, 2 whole eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. You're going to find this among the baking spices in your local grocery store. This kind of helps keep the cookie soft and another textural thing I'm not sure of. But it goes in there. It helps. We're going to need 1/2 cup of butter, or 1 stick, softened to room temperature, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then for our date jam that we're going to make, you're going to need 1 bag of dates. This is an 8-ounce bag. We're going to cut these into finely diced pieces. You're also going to need an additional 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar and another 3/4 cups of water. And the jam, we're going to make this first, and so that we can let it cool before we have to wrap it up in the cookie. So let's get started, shall we? Let's start by making our jam by adding our 8 ounces of dates. They're going to come whole in pieces just like this, but we're going to chop them up into little bitty pieces like this, just so that it cooks more evenly and also spreads evenly once the jam is cooked. Add your 3/4 cups of granulated sugar to the pot, as well as your 3/4 cups of water. Cook this in a small to medium-sized pot over a medium to medium-high heat, stirring very frequently. And we're going to bring this up to a boil so that the jam cooks down and reduces so it's nice and sticky. This can take about 5 to 8 minutes. Once your jam is finished cooking, set it aside to cool to room temperature or store in your fridge to chill. And there goes my camera. Now let's make our cookie by adding 1/2 cup of softened butter to a large bowl. And then we're going to add in 1.5 cups of brown sugar to that. Use a whisk or an electric mixer, and you're going to mix it well until it's light and fluffy and well combined. Add in your 2 whole eggs. And then you're going to mix that together again until it's well combined. Be sure to scrape down the sides occasionally just so everything gets mixed in. Add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, mix it again. And now we're going to add in our salt, 1/2 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And 3.5 cups of flour. We're going to add in the flour 1 cup at a time, mixing in between each addition. Now this might be a bit of a drier dough than what you're used to working with, but don't worry, we can make it work, I promise. Grab a parchment paper or wax paper, crumple it up to keep it from rolling in on itself, and then flatten it out, and we're going to dump our dough on top of this piece of paper. If the dough doesn't seem to be sticking to itself very well, go ahead and add in a little bit of water, about a tablespoon, to try and convince it to stick together. You want to form this into about a rectangle shape. Once you get it patted out into rectangle shape, grab your rolling pin, and we're going to roll it out until it's about 1/4 inch thick rectangle. This might take a bit of coercing as this is a tougher dough to work with. And if the edges are cracking on you, go ahead and press them together to make it nice and smooth. If your dough is sticking to your rolling pin like mine was, go ahead and cover it with more paper and then keep trying to roll it out into a large rectangle. Mine was about a 12-inch by 18-inch rectangle and a 1/4 inch thick. Doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the exact same size. It's okay. Once you have your rectangle rolled out, grab your jam that you've been cooling and set off to the side and spread it out all across the top of that cookie. You want to spread it out as evenly as you can, leaving about a 1/4 inch from the sides. Once you have your jam all spread out, let's roll up your dough into a nice little log, starting with the end that's closest towards you and roll it away from yourself. Kind of like you would roll up a cinnamon roll if you've ever made one of those. And it's okay if it's not perfectly tight, but do try to tighten the roll the best you can so there's no real big gaps in the swirl. I like to give it a little squeeze and smooth it out as I go along, just to try to make sure all the air bubbles are kind of knocked out and the jam is spread evenly. Once you have it all rolled up, gently pat the ends together a little bit and pinch it a little, just to make sure everything's sealed. Then roll it back up into your paper, and we're going to wrap this log in plastic wrap to keep it from drying out in the refrigerator. While holding the ends of your plastic wrap, you're going to give it a good roll on the table to try and tighten it up. You want it to be a nice firm log. And I like to tape the ends of my plastic wrap just so that they don't come undone. Then we're going to chill this in the refrigerator for 2 hours or overnight, or the freezer for 1 hour. Now we're going to slice up our firmed up log, but first let's take a little look at that swirl. Look at that, it's so pretty. Now we're going to slice this up into about 1/4 inch thick cookies. What's easiest for me is just cutting each piece in half, then cut it in half again, and then again until I get my 1/4 inch thick cookies. But you use whatever method works best for you. Do be careful when slicing these, just so you don't accidentally nick your finger or anything while slicing. And it is perfectly okay that they're not perfectly round. They're still going to taste great, no matter what. Now place these on a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper or silicone mat. Space them about 2 inches apart since these are going to spread. I got about 9 cookies per sheet. And then you're going to bake these at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 12 minutes or until golden. Now, wasn't that an adventure? Date pinwheels aren't necessarily the easiest cookie to make, since it is a bit of work to get the dough rolled out and rolled into that log without the jam spilling everywhere. But once you kind of get figured out, it's actually kind of fun. And it's rather rewarding too. And plus, don't they look pretty? Well, I think they're pretty. But they're also pretty tasty too. The date jam there remains nice and sticky and gooey, which is a nice balance between the kind of slightly crunchy, crumbly cookie. And it's just a really nice combo and something that I enjoy personally. And I hope this is a cookie you guys enjoy too. I know dates aren't for everybody, but I hope you're willing to give it a try at the very least. And thank you guys so much for joining me on this little adventure. Thank you for joining me for the 12 days of Treatsmas. This has been kind of a fun challenge for myself to make so many videos in such a short amount of time. For I am a one-woman team right now, so it's been a lot of work, but it's been a lot of fun too. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the recipes, if you've tried any of them. And I thank you again for joining me. And remember, please be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I hope you've had a very happy holiday season. Bye guys!